Are you sitting at your breakfast table, not wanting to go to work? Or you are yet in another relationship that doesn't feel like home? Or maybe you have an okay relationship and an okay job, but something just feels like missing in a big way? If this is true for you, then this is the video for you. Because today in this video, I'll be talking about three harsh truths that I wish I knew when I was in my early 30s. Let's dive in. Number one, I wish I knew that the matrix, the system, is a scam. It would have saved me years, 18 years to be more clear, of endless hours of working very hard, finishing 2 colleges, getting a master's degree at an Ivy League school, climbing the corporate ladder for many, many years, getting to the top, and working endless hours to achieve everything that I wanted, to work in the system to get to the top so that I can finally, I thought, be financially free and have the freedom to do what I want and to be happy, to travel, to see the world, to do different things. But that's not what the real life is. I grew up in a war-ridden country. So when I got to US, I told myself, forget about that system. Obviously, that system didn't work. And people seem to be happy here. They're making money, they're traveling, and let's start anew. Let's begin a new life. And I wasn't going to let anything stop me from that. So I worked very hard. I would either work and go to school at night all by myself, right? I haven't had anyone to rely on here in the US. So I didn't have mom and dad to go to and, live in their house while I'm living up my student life. Or I would work 2 jobs, so by myself. I put myself through school. I was doing everything that I thought you should be doing. If I was to perfectly follow the system that was built here, then I thought, okay, I would have made it, right? I was a type A, and I'm a type A personality. I'm competitive. I like the challenge. And it was hard. It was very hard, but I was doing it. I was having the best grades. I landed in an Ivy League school. I finished up my master's. I climbed the corporate ladder in finance all the way to the top. I became a CFO. I had the money, I had the recognition, I had all the achievements. I achieved everything I wanted. And I was drained out of my life energy, okay? Even at the top. Even when I got through all of that, when I had teams of people working for me, and I was making decisions and leading teams and making money, I was not happy and not content with where I was. So the system is not built to support you. You're never going to get to the top and you're never going to have the freedom. That's the bottom line. You may have money, but you're not going to have the freedom, because the more you work, the more you climb up, the more you're going to have responsibilities, the more things you're going to be responsible for, the heavier the weight is on your shoulders to support the company, to support all of the people working with you and that are reporting to you. So it's never going to be the time that you're going to have the financial freedom so much that you can do whatever that you want, and you're definitely not going to have any time to do what you want. So for the longest time, I think that was my misconception, is thinking that I'm gonna get to some point where I'm gonna have then enough time to do whatever I want. But you can't, you just can't, because you have what, maybe like a few weeks off to take, and then with that amount of responsibility, it's very hard to say, well, I'm just gonna take off 4 weeks and go travel the world and do whatever I want. No, you can't do that. You have to leave your job and then work very hard to find another job. Another thing that is very important is the lifestyle that you build throughout this process. And thankfully, I knew better, because I was coming from a war-ridden country, not to put myself through debt. I worked very hard to pay off all of the debt that I was incurring as I was going along in my life. But the truth is, here in the US, and I think this is kind of it's starting to spread out throughout the world, is to incur debt, a lot of debt, and have credit for everything, right? So you go to school, you get a student loan in your 20s. So before you even get a job, you already have enormous amount of debt on your shoulders. And now you have to start working so that you can start paying off your debt. So this is your mid-20s, you already have that. As you get to your 30, and by the time you're supposed to have a family and kids and all of that, you are to get mortgage, you're to get cars, you're to incur more debt. That again could be running anywhere from $200K to like $1 million, right? So you are basically forced to be in the system, keep on working, and you can't leave, because now you have all of the debt that you need to pay off. So it's keeping you in this constant cycle of working, and paying off your credit cards and your mortgage and your student loans and all of that. So it's a constant cycle. The lifestyle that I was just talking about, I want to talk about a little more. What I think is important, or was important for me, was to get to the time freedom and financial freedom. And the point that I'm trying to make, in the system as is right now in the US, and it's becoming the same across the world, that is not possible. Because there were times in my life, months and months, when I would be working until 2 a.m., waking up at 8 again, getting to work at 9, and being in that cycle over and over again. And then if you think about that, and you think about all of the people at the top, executives, lawyers, doctors, anyone that has their own practice, or anyone who is at the top of any corporation or startup even, they don't have the time. They don't have any time. They're in this cycle, even though they're making money. They're not having the lifestyle that would support a relaxed and happy life. Okay. So you're basically robbed off from the two most important things that can help you and make your life happier, which is having more time for yourself and having more financial freedom. Once you're in this matrix, it's very hard to get out. Okay, so but like I said, you have all of the debt, you're in the system, you now have to pay it off, and it keeps you in this cycle. But there is a way out. We'll talk about this soon. Number 2, your life purpose is not going to look like anyone else's. Not a single soul on this planet of almost 8 billion people is going to have exactly the same life purpose as you. So the system, the way it works, or the way it's set up basically against you, because you're supposed to know what you want by the time you're 20. then you go to school, you haven't even started working. By the time you start working, you're already in student loans and student debt. Then you start working, you start paying off your student loan. By the time you're 35, you're supposed to already have figured out and got married and have kids. Now you have work, right? You have kids who are like another salary on their own, right? At that time, you may be wondering, is this the right working environment? Is this the right lifestyle for me? Do I like my job? Maybe I don't. Maybe I completely missed it. Maybe I'm not happy with this. But by that time, you're so much in debt and your life is so set that it is hard. It is very hard to get out. The second point I want to make is there is absolutely no way that you can figure your life out in your early 20s. How are you to know? You just started living. You just finished high school. You're exploring. You need to travel. You want to hang out with friends. You want to go out. You want to have fun. You know, it's not, there is absolutely no, you haven't learned who you are, number one. You don't know, if you don't know who you are, how are you going to know what is the best path for you at that time? There is no way. So if you follow this trajectory that I was just talking about, that is kind of like set, it's like a dream life for the entire planet for whatever reason, that you need to figure out your life, what you want to do, your profession, you get married, you have kids, all of that by the time you're like 35. This is fear, okay? This is your ego keeping you safe. So you're succumb to all of these societal pressures and cultural pressures, mom and dad pressures, that you need to have all of this done because they all want you to be safe and because the system wants you to be in it so that you can make the money for the select few at the top. And then there is another layer to that, the fact that women, we have this biological clock that is put on us as, oh my God, if you don't have kids by the time you're 30, 35, you're done. Your life is over, you know. All of this is obviously the society set up and is very far away from helping you find your life purpose. That's number one. Number two, it's also your own fear keeping you safe, your ego keeping you safe. And I was also myself trying to keep myself safe here in the US because I came from a very unsafe environment. I grew up in a war, and it was another layer for me, making sure that I'm okay. I have this opportunity to be safe. Might as well be safe. But I was miserable. You know, I was living a miserable, mediocre life. And it was very misaligned with my soul purpose. So your life's purpose is on the other side of the fear. Fear of being seen, fear of failure, fear of being alone, fear of not getting married, fear of not having kids, fear of diving into your childhood traumas, all of those fears. Number 3. Feeling lost is good. If you're feeling lost right now and you're at your early 30s or late 20s, amazing. You should feel good about that. I know it sounds contradictory and counterintuitive, but this is a great start. This is how I started my spiritual awakening process. It was at the time when I was feeling very lost. I was thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing? I've reached all of my goals. I have achieved everything that I wanted. And I am very freaking miserable. Why am I feeling like this? And I just knew deep down in my soul that I wasn't on the right path. So like I said before, I followed the trajectory that I put myself on, and I was successful in finance. I also was in a 5-year relationship. We were to get married and have kids, but something inside of me was just saying no. Okay. I ended that relationship and I was 32. And then my ego again took over. I met another person and we moved very fast. And within 2 years, we were engaged and ready to have a family and living together, all of that. And that's when everything broke down for me. This is when I was this is probably was my lowest point when everything crashed and I was just like, I can't do this. This isn't for me. And this is exactly when my spiritual awakening process started. It was at the time when I felt incredibly lost. And I knew that I needed to be alone. And I made a very conscious decision, probably the best decisions of my life, to be alone for a while. That while lasted quite a few years, but that's okay. So the question is, can you live a happy life if you have never spent time learning about yourself? Can you live a happy life if you go through the everyone is supposed to have the same happy life kind of formula by, achieving what you want, getting a steady job, getting married, having kids? I think you can. I think you can have an okay life, you can have a comfortable life. You're probably going to be happy. I mean, raising kids alone can make you happy. But deep down in your soul, if you feel that something is very much missing and that you're not living your life purpose, then that's not it. Okay? So, learning about yourself is the most important thing that you can do in this life. And it involves healing all of your traumas, healing your childhood traumas, healing your adult traumas, even healing your past life traumas, healing your ancestral traumas, and hard work on yourself. If you keep on recycling toxic relationships, or if you keep getting into the relationships for the purpose of like getting married and having kids, or if you don't have the relationship that you want, or if you work at the job that you're unhappy in, or maybe you are making a lot of money but your job, you don't like what you're doing, it's time to start working on yourself. It's time to get to know yourself. If you don't learn who you are, and if you're just drinking the happy life Kool-Aid like I was, with getting married, having kids, getting a steady job, you can be happy. You can have bursts of moments of happiness and comfortable life and all of that. But if your soul is like cringing and you're just miserable, and you will know when this is going on, then time to start working on yourself. So, final thoughts. Ask yourself this: do I want to live my life never knowing who I am truly, never learning about myself, never facing my traumas to resolve the things that could potentially be holding me from living my best life, from living in my purpose, from living my most authentic, truthful self? And being alone, consciously making the decision to be alone, was for me, I think the best decision I have ever made in my life. And it kicked off my spiritual awakening journey. Because I think the most important thing in this life, so that you can get in line with the universe and get in line with why you came on this planet, is to get to know yourself. And I think this is where your true life begins, and this is where your life purpose will slowly start to unravel little by little. And in order to do that, it involves facing your fears, facing your childhood traumas, facing your inner child, facing yourself in every aspect and working through it. And as you work through it, little by little, nugget by nugget, things will start to show up in your life, and you will start to piece things together that will land in living in your purpose at the end, and all throughout life. So I leave you with that. Please leave in the comment section, what is your story? I would love to know. Does this resonate with you? Would you like me to dive into anything more? And I'll leave it with that. Thank you for joining my channel. Thank you so much for working on yourself and for spending the time to listen to this and to understand yourself. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye, love.